Portrait, display, and protection. After Kim Il-sung's death in 1994, a law was passed requiring every household in the country to hang the portraits of the Kim family high up on the main wall of the home, which was often in the living room, centered and with no other decorations on that same wall. The portraits need to be kept clean and are regularly inspected by the authorities, with punishments for failure to do so ranging from strong warnings to imprisonment or even a forced labor camp. The portraits are placed in a high place because they look down upon the rest of the household, and they must be protected in the event of emergencies over any other personal belongings, like in a fire or a flood. There were cases where parents were praised by the media for leaving their kids in house fires and floods in order to save the portraits instead. This weird law was probably taken from Stalin's and Mao Zedong's own portrait laws, even though North Korea has far more portraits than they did. 3 generations punishment rule. Also known as the association system, this rule isn't actually a formal law, but is instead an internal Workers' Party rule established when North Korea was founded in 1948. According to this rule, punishment for some of your crimes can be passed on to your next 3 generations. It was made as a deterrent to instill fear in anyone wanting to run away, since they will either have to bring their whole family, making travel and stealth nearly impossible, or doom the next 3 generations of their family to life in prison or a forced labor camp. There, they cannot question their imprisonment, or they risk execution. Official events. Soldiers, citizens, and politicians are expected to applaud enthusiastically for as long as several minutes on end during official events, and those who fall asleep at their post or when attending official events are subject to severe punishments and even executions, such as in 2016 when North Korea's Vice Premier for Education, Kim Yong-jin, exhibited poor posture and fell asleep during a meeting presided over by Kim Jong-un. He was executed in July of 2016, being labeled an anti-party, anti-revolutionary agitator. Forced and unquestioned loyalty. The government assesses a citizen's behavior by looking at their family's background, personal behavior, and political loyalty with a system called Sungbun, which uses 3 main classes with about 50 subclasses, all of which have influence on a citizen's access to education, their employment opportunities, and even food distribution. There are targeted tests that normally happen among high-ranking officials and passive tests that happen periodically throughout a citizen's life. Those deemed disloyal through these tests, whether it be speaking against the government, defying orders, engaging in any acts of protest, not using titles when speaking of political leaders, or even through suspected thoughts of treason called thought crimes, are executed by firing squad. Anti-Western attire laws. In the year 1945, denim jeans, especially blue ones, were banned since they said they were too American, and any other Western-themed clothing, such as leather jackets or other flashy articles of clothing, are seen as cultural contamination and are either discouraged or outright banned. This law has evolved over time, with a ban on skinny jeans and body modifications, like piercings, introduced in May 2021, and a prohibition on women wearing shorts implemented in August 2023 as part of an effort to preserve traditional values. A government-employed fashion police was established to monitor and enforce the dress code, with the authority to reprimand, imprison, or even execute those who commit fashion crimes. Sacred days. Starting on July 8, 1994, the anniversary of Kim Il-sung's death, and December 17, 2011, the anniversary of Kim Jong-il's death, mourning periods were instituted. Kim Il-sung's first mourning period lasted 3 years, during which singing, drinking, and dancing were prohibited. For Kim Jong-il's death, a 100-day mourning period was implemented with similar rules, but it also banned entertainment and expressions of joy. Crying aloud was forbidden, even if a family member died, as it was considered disrespectful to the leader's deaths. On the 10th anniversary of Kim Jong-il's death, the mourning period lasted 11 days, during which drinking, laughing, and shopping were prohibited. Even soldiers were not allowed to sleep, ensuring a solemn atmosphere throughout the country. Violators faced severe punishments, including arrest and harsh treatment in jail. Along with these, February 16th, Kim Jong-il's birthday, and April 15th, Kim Il-sung's birthday, are state-sponsored national reverence days that ban the celebration of all weddings and personal milestones. Daily surveillance of home and life. Every day, the government's workers closely monitor their citizens, even to the point of 1984-esque listening devices, with homes being commonly wiretapped, smartphones monitored with periodic, undeletable screenshots, and citizens taught to report all suspicious activity. As recently as September 2, 2024, this already advanced and complex surveillance system was expanded by 50% for domestic surveillance and doubled for overseas observation via a new $100 million high-tech facility, which is set to finish construction before the end of 2026. There are even claims that the new surveillance technology will surpass even that of Israel's Mossad or the American CIA. However, we have to remind ourselves that it's not just government authorities tracking people on the internet, even if it's for security reasons. Hackers and malicious actors are after your data too, and they want to use it for nefarious reasons. That's where NordVPN, today's sponsor, comes in. They've hooked me up with a special deal, a 2-year plan with 4 extra months free, using the custom link in the description or by scanning my QR code. NordVPN isn't just about basic online threat protection like other VPNs. Thanks to their Threat Protection Pro system, they offer advanced protection from malware, phishing, scams, and even fake online shops that could scam you. Plus, they block ads and web trackers. And here's the cool part. Their features don't even need the VPN to be actively connected to work. Just enable them in the app. Another awesome feature is the Dark Web Monitor, which keeps an eye on hacker forums and shady corners of the internet to see if your data, like passwords, ends up for sale. You can get all of this through my custom link in the description and pinned comment. And if that wasn't enough, NordVPN is totally risk-free, since they have a 30-day money-back guarantee policy. So, huge thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video, and don't forget to check out the custom link for the 2-year plan plus 4 months free. Bicycle ban. Before 1992, bicycles were entirely banned in Pyongyang to create a tighter grip on domestic travel and were seen as a symbol of backwardness. They thought that they were inconsistent with what a modern socialist capital should look like. And though this ban has been partially lifted, the government keeps a strong hold on all citizen transportation. For example, when a high-ranking official's daughter died in a cycling accident, women for a time became not allowed to ride them in cities because it was seen as indecent. This was later officially lifted in 2012 due to being poorly enforced, though women still face fines and bicycle confiscation occasionally in certain areas. Enforcement of lifestyle. Citizens must adhere to a strict curfew in certain areas, especially around military zones, and they are usually used in order to show support and unity during mandatory events like birthday events for leaders. They do unpaid labor and community projects, or attend criticism meetings where citizens critique the ways that their own and their colleagues' behaviors are ideologically flawed. They also hold mass rallies where they are expected to praise the party and its leaders. Housing and employment regulation. Each citizen's home location and job are chosen for them by the government without the opportunity of choosing via the songbun system previously mentioned. They can be demoted and even fired from their jobs if they are deemed disloyal, even if they were in the class of the most loyal and influential citizens who receive the privilege of living in Pyongyang. Even the citizens of Pyongyang need government permission to travel outside of their assigned areas, such as their hometown or city, as domestic travel is heavily restricted. This is partially done to ensure that those whom the government does not trust and are forced to relocate to more remote areas or are made to live in labor camps for re-education stay further away from the rest of society and don't come back. Government-approved hairstyles. The way you style your hair is very regulated, with both men and women only getting to select from 28 allowed hairstyles. These 28 hairstyles are the only hairstyles given as options in salons and barbershops, creating an environment of conformity. Anyone can report haircuts that fall outside the approved 10 styles for men and 18 styles for women. Married women are encouraged to keep their hair short, while single women are encouraged to wear it long. Regarding men, their hair is meant to be kept neat and short. Triplet policy. In order to ensure population growth, the government wrote into law incentives and controls for the upbringing of triplets, going so far as taking custody of all triplets in order to ensure loyalty to the party's ideology. Although this has more recently been less common, they used to do so because triplets are depicted as a symbol of national prosperity and growth, with parents who have triplets being seen as more loyal to the regime. They receive benefits like free housing, food, medicine, and even household goods. Pet restriction. Pre-1998, owning pets was seen as taboo and a Western trend. However, post-1998 foreign currency-based shops in Pyongyang started selling smaller breeds, and the former leader of the regime, Kim Jong-il, started telling the citizens they should keep pet dogs. Popularity of owning dogs steadily rose through the early 2000s, but in 2020, Kim Jong-un revoked the directive to own dogs, calling it a tainted trend by bourgeois ideology, and it became banned once more, with reports of dogs being seized from homes and euthanized, or even used as meat in restaurants due to a shortage of food. Schooling. Only government-run public schools are allowed in North Korea, with the majority of the focus being on praising the Kim family, learning to practice the state's ideology, and reporting anyone they find guilty of having suspicious thoughts to the government. They can even use public announcement speakers to cite the suspected person's name, address, and description. Students are also required to bring their own desk and furniture to schools since they are underfunded. And even at the age of 5, they must participate in forced manual labor and learn how to shoot and fight in case of American invaders. Strict border control. Armed soldiers prevent anyone from leaving or entering the country without the government's permission. Adding to this, North Korea's borders are heavily fortified with multiple layers of fences, barriers, landmines, cameras, and a multitude of stationed soldiers who were given a shoot-on-sight order to anyone trying to illegally cross. The South Korean border is very likely the most fortified border in the world, with recent developments only making this more true after North Korea has demolished both roads and railways that cross the demilitarized zone, and large trenches have been dug across the entire border in their place. Even their border with China is heavily protected, especially after the recent pandemic. Family names. No citizen is allowed to share a name with any member of the Kim family, with the belief that their names are reserved for people who have the highest dignity. The most recent report of this law being enforced on a large scale was February 2023, when authorities began to require all citizens named Ju-ai to change their name, as the current leader Kim Jong-un had given this name to his daughter. Cultural interests. All books, videos, music, and art must be approved by the state before they can be published. Adding on to this, all foreign media is strictly banned, with most cases of violators being imprisoned or, in some cases, executed. Internet access is extremely limited. The country's borders are reportedly lined with signal jammers in order to prevent any unwanted signals from reaching into or out of the country. Only certain government officials and institutions get full access, as the general populace only gets access to a domestic intranet. Remember to subscribe to NordVPN through my QR code or through the link in the description to get the 2-year plan plus 4 months free. And thanks for watching.